For personal development, leading and managing section of Informed Eyes Weekly Business Insights for the week 409, July 11 to 17, 2025. We curated and summarized articles from two business magazines. The first article from Inc. shares 5 powerful communication secrets of truly great leaders. The second article from Forbes magazine shares Kodak's next moment, how CEO Jim Continza is reinventing the brand. First from Inc. magazine.
5 Powerful Communication Secrets of Truly Great Leaders, written by Peter Economy, published by INC Magazine on July 13, 2025. Picture it, a sea of faces all eagerly awaiting your next words, a bright stage subtly drawing all eyes to the sole figure in the spotlight. This is the image of a leader who can command any crowd, captivating them with charisma, assurance, and adept communication skills. The reality is that these kinds of leaders are actually cultivated with time and effort. It doesn't have to be an innate gift. All it takes is the will to develop some powerful communication skills, and you will be well on your way to becoming an exceptional leader. Here are 5 communication skills that have the power to take your leadership from good to great. 1. Make it personal. The power of storytelling. Have you ever spoken to someone and instantly felt that inexplicable connection that makes them feel more like a friend than a stranger? The key to developing that experience in every interaction is sharing a little bit about yourself. Don't be afraid to relate some of your backstory and the experiences that have made you who you are. Sharing your story and creating a space for open communication will make people around you feel more comfortable doing the same. Before you know it, you're enjoying a truly personal conversation. 2. Be gentle. The difference in tone can make all the difference. Think about the tone you can take when you speak to a group of people or when you speak to a crowd on a stage. Are you calm and soothing, or do you tend to get a little worked up, addressing the group in a near shout? If it's the latter, make a point to tone things down. Be patient and get your point across with a sense of careful, measured calm. Being a great leader and excelling at communication is as much about respecting others as it is about being respected. 3. Truly listen. The underrated art of empathy. Can you remember a time, maybe early in your career, when someone in a position of authority over you stopped and listened to you? We don't mean a casual acknowledgement that you've spoken. We're talking about the kind of sincere, wholehearted listening that makes you feel truly seen and heard. It's a gift to experience that kind of empathy, especially from someone in a position of power over you. Be sure to give that gift to your people regularly. 4. Stand out. Make your mark your way. It's important that every interaction you have with another person leaves a lasting impact. After all, when it comes to good communication, being remembered is half the battle. Maybe you're not the kind of leader who's remembered for making grand speeches in front of crowds. That's not the problem. There are all kinds of leaders, and each of them has a different way of standing out. The important thing is that you develop your own unique leadership brand so that people always know when it is you who is in the spotlight. 5. Keep an open mind. Different people, different stories. When it comes to leadership and communication, one of the most common pitfalls to avoid is the closed mind. Don't jump to conclusions about what others are telling you. Don't be so quick to ignore someone's idea or suggestion before you even understand where they came from. Every person has a different story and a different way of perceiving the world. As a truly great leader, one of your jobs is to uncover those stories. Be open-minded and remember that every person is an entirely new opportunity for interaction, listening, and communication. 3 key takeaways from the article. 1. Picture it, a sea of faces all eagerly awaiting your next words. A bright stage subtly drawing all eyes to the sole figure in the spotlight. This is the image of a leader who can command any crowd, captivating them with charisma, assurance, and adept communication skills. 2. The reality is that these kind of leaders are actually cultivated with time and effort. It doesn't have to be an innate gift. All it takes is the will to develop some powerful communication skills, and you will be well on your way to becoming an exceptional leader. 3. 5 communication skills that have the power to take your leadership from good to great. Make it personal, the power of storytelling. Be gentle, the difference in tone can make all the difference. Truly listen, the underrated art of empathy. Stand out, make your mark your way, and keep an open mind. Different people, different stories.
Kodak Next Moment: How CEO Jim Contenza is Reinventing the Brand, written by Megan Poinsike, published by Forms on July 14, 2025. In the 1980s, Kodak's brand was synonymous with photography. When something memorable happened, everyone called it a Kodak moment. It was a brand that most everyone interacted with on a daily basis, and it held a dominant position in the market. Nowadays, the film camera is a relic of a time gone by, and it would be easy to relegate the Kodak brand to the scrap heap of once major companies that are now forgotten, like Pan Am, World Airways, and Blockbuster. But Kodak still exists, and it's actually a pretty active company. It's not just their brand licensing. The trademark yellow and red K adorns all sort of apparel and other lifestyle merchandise in foreign countries and brought in about $4 million in the first quarter of this year. Kodak's high quality film and printing is still its top grossing business, but it's also pivoting into new areas that use its core competencies. The Kodak of today and the future, CEO Jim Contenza told the author, is a B2B company specializing in chemicals, materials handling, and manufacturing. In May, Kodak announced it was working on a new $20 million plant in Rochester, New York, making chemicals for the pharmaceutical industry. That's a hard transition for people to accept, he said. You don't get to go on the race cars, all those great things don't happen. You focus clearly on your business. We had to focus on our customer, our capabilities, and then our profitability, which was way out of whack. Most companies will never have to make as sharp of a pivot as Kodak, but the company under Contenza's leadership is an example of how it's possible to make a turnaround with the right mindset and a willingness to focus on what's central to a company's function. In the 1990s, digital photography began to take over. Kodak was integral in early digital photography research and development, but did not make a hard pivot until it was too late. As revenue plummeted, the company tried different strategies, purchasing chemical companies, leaning into digital camera manufacturing, and investing in the home printer market. But the company filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection in 2012. Contenza, an experienced businessman who had helped lead other companies through turnarounds, was named to Kodak's board of directors in 2013 while it was still in bankruptcy. I am the gift that came with it, he told the author. Contenza was named executive chairman in 2019 and became CEO in 2020. The board asked me to step in and I felt responsible, he said. Also, I was there too when it went down. I am not exempt from it because I sit on the board and go, not my fault. At that point, you have an accountability to the shareholders that you trust. Contenza also said he wanted to make sure Kodak was not letting down its employees purely based on poor management choices by past and present leadership. Those employees, he said, were counting on Kodak for their whole livelihoods, while executives in leadership would be less likely to face financial turmoil based on things going wrong with the company. Contenza said the rough outline of how he got Kodak on the right path is relatively simple. When you're losing money, stop spending so much. If consumers don't want your products, figure out what they do want and make sure your internal operations are actually running smoothly. Of course, there is more nuance than that, but the major issue was clear to Condensa on his first day on the job. He spoke to more than 1,000 Kodak employees in the company's theater and asked them to tell him what Kodak did. Nobody could answer. And as Condensa dove deeper into the company, he discovered something that Kodak was good at doing, making products nobody wanted. So Condensa went back and examined Kodak's core competencies and checked in with consumers, a group that Contenza said had been ignored at times. Historically, Kodak has been an innovator with more than 27,000 patents, and today's Kodak is still incredibly innovative, he said. The company doubled down and improved on what it does best. Film and commercial printing is still the largest segment of the company's business, making up about 72% of revenues in financial year 2024. Kodak does top of the line digital photo printing using lithographic plates, the best and fastest in the world, and the only ones made in the US, Contenza said. The company continues to make high performance film, which nowadays is used by top of the line filmmakers. Kodak also manufactures film for other companies which use it for still photography, X rays, and videos. But Kodak also started branching out its chemical business for uses beyond coating film and photo paper or development. The same institutional knowledge now goes toward making coating for EV and other batteries, and the soon to come pharmaceutical plant, which is expected to be operating later this year, will make FDA's regulated diagnostic test reagents. Reagents. Contenza said he found that pharmaceuticals, an area Kodak first go into a few years ago, is a place that the company has expertise but can also create a US source for these critical chemicals. Aside from finding areas where Kodak can succeed, Contenza has focused on paying down the company's debt and obtaining more appropriate financing to go with the company's restructuring. Contenza said his top corporate value as he tried to reinvent Kodak is having the courage to compete and try to win. Three key takeaways from the article. One, in the 1980s, Kodak's brand was synonymous with photography. When something memorable happened, everyone called it a Kodak moment. Nowadays, the film camera is a relic of a time gone by, and it would be easy to relegate the Kodak's brand to the scrap heap of once major companies that are now forgotten. Two, but Kodak still exists and it's actually a pretty active company. It's not just their brand licensing, the trademark yellow red K adorns all sort of apparel and other lifestyle merchandise in foreign countries and brought in about $4 million in the first quarter of this year. Kodak's high quality film and printing is still its top grossing business, but it's also pivoting into new areas that use its core competencies. 3. According to his CEO, Contenza, the rough outline of how he got Kodak on the right path is relatively simple. When you are losing money, stop spending too much. If consumers don't want your product, figure out what they do want and make sure your internal operations are actually running smoothly. Contenza said his top corporate value as he has tried to reinvent Kodak is having the courage to compete and try to win.